right, friends, Michael Butler, global book publisher. We've published 791 titles by authors in 64 nations. And, I get asked a lot by our fiction and our nonfiction authors, how can I get my book optioned for a movie? We've had books optioned for movies, and it's exciting when that happens, when authors come to us and say, hey, look, our short has won these film awards. And so it's very exciting, but it's also very difficult to know what to do. What is a screenplay? How do you adapt your book to a film? What exactly is the step? What exactly is the process? Well, I have an expert guest here with me today, Stephen Simon.
There's a lot of things that go into adapting a book. I have adapted 3 books in my career as a film producer. Somewhere in Time was a book. All the Right Moves was an article in Sports Illustrated, and What Dreams May Come was a book. So I'm 3 for 3 in getting those movies made. It is a very different process to adapt a book from writing a screenplay. Also, as Michael mentioned in the beginning, you option your book, you have lost control of it. As soon as money changes hands, it's out of your control, particularly if you're not a world famous screenwriter already. So one of the things that my business partner, Sean, and I do is that we put in our agreements that we have absolutely no rights to your project whatsoever. We will help you develop it, but then it's yours 100%, no matter how much we have contributed to it. Give you a little background about me. I have, as I said, produced What Dreams May Come and All the Right Moves and Somewhere in Time. I ran production companies for 2 of the biggest producers in the industry, Dino De Laurentiis and Ray Stark. And I have made movies with people like Robin Williams, Tom Cruise, Cuba Gooding
Jr., Christopher Reeve, Jane Seymour,
yeah,
some of the biggest names
Jane
in the
Seymour.
industry. You're a very humble guy, but you're batting 1,000 if we're talking baseball, and the Texas Rangers just won the series. So batting 1,000 means you never miss when you're at the plate. You always get a hit. So what can people expect to learn on this webinar with you and Sean in November?
All right. One of the things we'll do is explain the differences between writing a screenplay and writing a book, which are very, very different. It's a completely different way of connecting with an audience. We will take you through our process, which is, even if you've written a book, you need to do an outline before you start a screenplay. It is incredibly important to have a beat by beat outline of, and that is, if you work with us, that is exactly what we'll do. We'll take you through the entire script development process. And then we will give you suggestions as to who you might take it to help you get it made. I'm no longer producing movies. That is not what I do anymore, but I can definitely lead you to the people who actually do that, so that this will be something that you learn along the way. And when we're done, you will have a screenplay that you will be proud of. It is very difficult to get a movie made, but if you have a screenplay that you're proud of, that nobody owns but you, and you don't have to take development money from a producer, you're going to be way ahead of the game.
Stephen, I am so glad you gave that information, because on the 16th of November, we're going to feature you and your business partner, Sean Kuhn. I've known Sean for years, met him in New York at the Book Expo. He had a series of bookstores. He's been in the book publishing space for years. You've been in the movie space for years, and you guys have done incredible things in your respective industries, and you've come together. Now, the webinar on the 16th, I joined you on a webinar recently. What is this, 60 minutes, 90 minutes? People are going to want to block this out. It's going to fill up quick. How much time should they set aside on the 16th for this informative webinar?
I think we should do 60 minutes, particularly if we can take questions, Michael. If we can take questions from people, it would be really useful, because there's a lot of different areas to go through. And one of the things that we need to go through is telling an author adapting a book doesn't mean just moving it from a bookcase into a computer. It is a very different ballgame. And I can explain that, what the book of Somewhere in Time was, and then what movie it turned into, what the book of What Dreams May Come, what movie it turned into. And the same thing with All the Right Moves, which was just an article in Sports Illustrated, which we expanded into a whole other thing. It's a wonderful process. It's a fun process, but it's a very different process. And honestly, there's a lot more rules with writing a screenplay than there are with writing a book.
A lot has changed since the pandemic. A lot has changed since the internet, since Napster changed the music industry, and since Amazon changed the publishing space, and since the pandemic and the writer's strike Hollywood. And it's a perfect trifecta, guys. For those of you that have written books all over the world, you know who you are. We talk to you every week on our masterminds, on our webinars, and on our live streams because, you know, Stephen, I'm really amazed at what you and Sean have been able to do together in putting together this webinar and helping people get the info and the knowledge they need. And I think the thing that stood out to me the most, and one reason I was most excited about this, is about 60 to 70% of our authors are nonfiction authors. And you're telling me that even a nonfiction book can be adapted to a film. Why is that?
Oh, that's absolutely true. We just did that. I've just done my first adaptation since What Dreams May Come, the first one I've taken on. And it is with an author who has a nonfiction book, which we have turned into a very dramatic screenplay. The other thing that people need to remember in writing a book, Michael, in your experience, what is the average length of a fiction or nonfiction books in words? 70, 80,000 words?
Yeah, and that's a little on the heavy side. I mean, they're shorter.
Okay, so in a screenplay, the program that people need to use to write the screenplay, which is called Final Draft, an average screenplay in Final Draft is 22,000 words.
Oh my goodness.
So what that means is if you have a book, you know that a lot of it is not going to make it onto the screen. And we just did that with this writer who actually writing about something that she and her husband and her family faced. And we had a 324-page book looking at us and boiled it down to a 114-page screenplay. It is a lot of fun. It's just a very different process.
Well, seating is limited. Sign up right now at bookthemovie.org. This is going to fill up, and not everybody is going to be accepted. And then once the seats are full, it is full. We're hosting it on StreamYard here, so you know there's a limited number of seats, but it's the best possible experience. And we want you to sign up now because you're going to leave with some great information on what are the next steps to take your fiction, nonfiction to the world and go to as a screenplay, as an adaptation. You know, one thing I heard you and Sean say, there's more platforms now than ever, like Hulu, like Netflix, all these streaming platforms like Amazon Prime, and these networks, these platforms, they're looking for content. Why don't you close us out with the final tip, a final word, Stephen? What's one of the big takeaways they're going to get on the webinar here on November 16th?
Well, I think one of the things you just brought up, Michael, is that the pandemic changed the entire delivery aspect of the film industry. And Netflix became the 800-pound gorilla. They spend $6 billion a year on programming. There has never been a better time
Unbelievable.
to try to sell a book to a network or to a streaming service. A lot easier than getting it in a theater, and there's a great hunger for material.
Stephen, you're going to love that. There it is. It's already there. It's already up. Okay, go ahead and RSVP now. It's almost full. I see people opting in right now. It may be too full by the time you hear this message. bookthemovie.org. Stephen Simon, thank you for all of your great work, all of the great Cuba Gooding Jr.'s, Robin Williams, Christopher Reeves, Jane Seymour, Tom Cruise that you've worked with over the years, for batting 1,000 on your adaptations, getting optioned for films. Do not miss this. We want to see you November 16th, the week before Thanksgiving. So we're not even going to get in the way of your turkey dinner. Thank you, Stephen, for joining me.